Hello and a warm, heartfelt welcome to everyone joining me today. I am Dr. Caroline Bennett. Today we are going to open a door that, for many of you, has been locked for a very long time. We are going to have a conversation that might fundamentally change the way you view your own personality, your work ethic, and your value as a human being. We are going to dismantle a word that I believe is one of the most damaging, shameful, and scientifically inaccurate labels in our modern vocabulary. That word is lazy. I want you to think about how many times you have woken up in the morning, hitting the snooze button 3, 4, or 5 times, feeling a physical heaviness in your limbs that makes getting out of bed feel like climbing a mountain. Think about how many times you have sat at your desk, staring at a computer screen, knowing exactly what you need to do, but feeling completely paralyzed, unable to summon the drive to simply start. You look at your to-do list, and instead of feeling motivated or capable, you feel a crushing sense of apathy and overwhelm. And what is the internal monologue that follows this feeling? You blame yourself. You engage in negative self-talk. You tell yourself, I am just lazy. I have no willpower. I am procrastinating again. Why can't I be like other people who seem to have endless energy? You treat this lack of drive as a character flaw, a moral failing, or a weakness of spirit. As a physician dedicated to longevity, functional health, and the biochemistry of the brain, I am here to tell you to stop that internal shaming immediately. I am here to propose a radically different hypothesis. What if your laziness isn't a mindset problem? What if it isn't a psychological block? What if it is a biochemical cry for help? Motivation is not magic. Willpower is not an abstract concept that some people have and others don't. Drive, focus, and energy are biological processes. They are the direct result of specific neurotransmitters, like dopamine, norepinephrine, and acetylcholine, firing across your neural pathways. And just like a high-performance car engine cannot run without high-octane fuel, spark plugs, and oil, your brain cannot generate motivation if it is missing the essential raw materials required to build it. Today, we are going to explore the biology of drive. We are going to identify the 3 invisible thieves of motivation. We are going to look at 3 specific physiological conditions: vitamin B12 deficiency, iron deficiency, and blood sugar instability, that hijack your brain's ability to care. We will look at the science of why you feel stuck, and I will give you the precise medical roadmap to reignite your engine. To understand why you feel this way, we must first look at the molecule of motivation itself, dopamine. When you feel driven, when you feel that surge of let's get this done, when you feel satisfaction after completing a task, that is dopamine signaling in the mesolimbic pathway of your brain. However, your body cannot conjure dopamine out of thin air. It requires a complex, multi-step assembly line to produce it. It needs specific amino acids, specifically L-tyrosine. It needs iron to convert that tyrosine into L-dopa. It needs vitamin B6 to convert L-dopa into dopamine. And it needs stable glucose levels to power the mitochondria, the energy power plants, inside the neurons that fire these signals. If any part of this assembly line is broken, the result is what we clinically call anhedonia, or avolition, a lack of pleasure and a lack of will. To the outside world, and even to yourself, this looks like laziness. But biologically, it is a fuel crisis. Let's identify the first thief. The first suspect we must investigate, especially for those of you over the age of 40, is vitamin B12, or cobalamin. B12 is often marketed as the energy vitamin, but its role in human physiology goes far beyond just waking you up or replacing a cup of coffee. It is essential for 2 critical things: the formation of healthy red blood cells and the maintenance of your nervous system. Imagine your nerves are like electrical wires running through your body, carrying messages from your brain to your muscles. For electricity to conduct fast and efficiently, the wire needs a rubber insulation coating. In the human body, this coating is called the myelin sheath. Vitamin B12 is the architect of myelin. It builds and repairs this insulation. When you are deficient in B12, that protective coating begins to fray and disintegrate. This leads to what I call neurological static. The signals get lost. This is why the fatigue of B12 deficiency feels different from normal tiredness. It isn't just I'm sleepy. It is a cognitive sludge. It is brain fog. It is walking into a room and forgetting why you are there. It is a feeling of heavy apathy where everything feels too difficult, because your nervous system is literally misfiring. Now you might say, but Dr. Bennett, I eat meat. I eat eggs. I consume dairy. I shouldn't be deficient. This is the great misconception. B12 deficiency in people over 40 is rarely about intake, it is about absorption. To absorb B12 from food, your stomach needs to execute a very complex chemical handshake. It needs to produce a specific protein called intrinsic factor, and it needs strong hydrochloric acid, stomach acid, to separate the B12 from the food protein. As we age, the lining of our stomach naturally thins, a condition called atrophic gastritis. We produce less acid and significantly less intrinsic factor. Furthermore, we must consider your medications. Are you taking a proton pump inhibitor, PPI, like omeprazole for acid reflux? Are you taking metformin for blood sugar control? These medications are notorious for blocking B12 absorption. You could be eating a steak every single day, but biologically, you are starving your brain of B12. The symptoms of this lazy brain when B12 is low are specific. Your body produces enlarged, inefficient red blood cells, a condition called megaloblastic anemia. These giant cells cannot carry oxygen effectively to your brain. The result? You sit on the couch, you know you should go to the gym, you know you should fold the laundry, but the physical urge to move is completely absent. You might feel a tingling or numbness in your hands or feet. You might feel slightly depressed or anxious. This is not a character flaw. This is a brain gasping for oxygen and myelin support. The second thief is one that steals your physical endurance and makes your limbs feel like lead weights. It is the silent epidemic of iron deficiency. Iron is the central core of the hemoglobin molecule. Hemoglobin is the protein in your red blood cells that acts as the taxi driver. It picks up oxygen from your lungs and drives it to your muscles and your brain. If you don't have enough taxi drivers, if you lack iron, the oxygen stays in the lungs. Your muscles literally suffocate on a cellular level. This is where standard medicine often fails women, especially those in perimenopause, or those who have stopped menstruating but have low reserves from a lifetime of cycles and childbirth. You go to your doctor, complaining of fatigue. They run a standard CBC, complete blood count, and they tell you, good news, you are not anemic. Your hemoglobin is normal. But not anemic does not mean optimal. You can have normal hemoglobin but have completely empty iron storage. This is measured by a protein called ferritin. Think of ferritin as your bank savings account of iron. Hemoglobin is the cash in your wallet. You might have cash in your wallet right now so you can pay for today's energy expenses, but your bank account is overdrawn. You are running on empty. When ferritin drops below 50 nanograms per milliliter, even if the lab report says normal is anything above 15, you will experience symptoms. You will feel air hunger. The need to sigh deeply to get enough breath even when sitting still. You will experience restless leg syndrome at night, a creepy crawly sensation that ruins your sleep quality. And most importantly for our topic today, you will experience exercise intolerance. This is the classic laziness symptom. You start to clean the house or go for a walk, and within 5 minutes you are exhausted. Your heart pounds. You feel like you need to sit down. This isn't because you are unfit or lazy. It is because your mitochondria, the engines in your cells, require iron to produce ADP, the currency of energy. Without iron, the engine stalls. You are trying to run a Ferrari on fumes. Also, remember the connection to motivation? The enzyme tyrosine hydroxylase, which converts dietary protein into dopamine, is iron dependent. Low iron literally means low dopamine. You physically cannot manufacture the motivation molecule. If your ferritin is low, you are chemically incapable of feeling driven. The third thief is one we invite into our homes daily. it is dysglycemia, or unstable blood sugar. We live in a culture of carbohydrates and caffeine. You wake up tired, perhaps due to the iron or B12 issues we just discussed, so you grab a coffee and a pastry, or a bowl of oatmeal with fruit, or a piece of toast. This creates a massive spike in blood glucose. Your pancreas responds to this emergency by flooding your system with insulin to bring that sugar down. Insulin does its job too well. It crashes your blood sugar rapidly. This usually happens around 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. We call this reactive hypoglycemia. What does this feel like? You are sitting at your desk, and suddenly, your eyelids feel heavy. Your focus scatters. You find yourself scrolling social media mindlessly. You think, I am being so unproductive today. I am so lazy. Biologically, your brain has just run out of fuel. The brain is an energy hog. It consumes 20% of your body's total glucose, despite only being 2% of your body weight. When blood sugar crashes, the brain perceives a threat to survival. It goes into power save mode. It shuts down non-essential functions. Willpower, complex decision-making, and emotional regulation are biologically expensive energy tasks. The brain cuts them off. You are left with the basic functions. Keep breathing, sit still, conserve energy. This isn't laziness. It is a mitochondrial energy crisis. Furthermore, chronic high insulin levels block the conversion of thyroid hormones. It prevents your T4, the inactive thyroid hormone, from turning into T3, the active thyroid hormone that gives you energy. So riding the sugar roller coaster essentially gives you a temporary, diet-induced hypothyroidism, further slowing your metabolism and your drive. So, now that we have identified the thieves, how do we arrest them? How do we reclaim our drive and stop the cycle of shame? We need data, and we need a strategy. Here is Dr. Bennett's protocol for regaining your edge. Step 1 is getting the right blood work. Do not settle for a basic annual checkup. You need to advocate for yourself and ask your doctor for specific markers. For B12, do not just test serum B12. This can be falsely elevated if you take supplements or consume energy drinks. Ask for methylmalonic acid or MMA. If MMA is high, it means your B12 is functionally low at the cellular level where it matters. Also check homocysteine. High homocysteine indicates a methylation issue often linked to B12 or folate deficiency, which is a major risk factor for brain aging. For iron, demand a ferritin test. Do not accept a result of 15 or 20 as fine. For optimal energy, hair growth, and dopamine production, you want your ferritin to be between 70 and 100 nanograms per milliliter. For blood sugar, check your HbA1c, which is your 3-month average sugar, and critically, check your fasting insulin. Fasting insulin should ideally be below 5 or 6. If it is 10 or higher, you are insulin resistant, and your energy production is compromised. Step 2 is the absorption strategy for B12. If you are over 50, or if you have gut issues like bloating or reflux, swallowing a B12 pill might be useless because of the absorption issue we discussed earlier. Switch to a sublingual methylcobalamin. Sublingual means it dissolves under the tongue. This bypasses the stomach entirely and enters directly into the bloodstream through the mucosal capillaries in your mouth. Look for methylcobalamin, which is the active, methylated form that is easier for the brain to use than the cheaper cyanocobalamin, found in most multivitamins. Also, consider taking digestive enzymes with betaine HCl. If you don't have ulcers, to help your stomach acid break down the meat you eat, releasing the natural B12 from your diet. Step 3 is the iron protocol. If your ferritin is low, you need to rebuild the bank account. Pairing is crucial. Never take iron, or eat an iron-rich steak, with coffee, tea, or red wine. The tannins in these drinks block iron absorption by up to 60%. Wait 2 hours before or after your meal to have your coffee. Always take iron with vitamin C. A squeeze of lemon juice in water or a vitamin C supplement makes a massive difference. Vitamin C changes the chemical structure of iron from ferric to ferrous. making it absorbable in the acidic environment of the gut. And start cooking in cast iron. It sounds like an old wives' tale, but cooking acidic foods like tomato sauce in a cast iron skillet actually leaches small, safe amounts of absorbable iron into your food, acting as a gentle daily supplement. Step 4 is to stabilize the glucose. To stop the afternoon crash and the brain fog, you must flatten the glucose curve. Stop eating sweet breakfasts. No fruit smoothies, no oatmeal, no toast, no cereal. Eat a savory breakfast. Eggs, avocado, leftovers from dinner, or a high-quality protein shake. A savory breakfast stabilizes your dopamine and blood sugar for the entire day. Also, pay attention to the order of eating. Eat your vegetables first, your protein and fat second, and your starches, like rice or potatoes, last. The fiber and fat slow down the absorption of the sugar into your bloodstream, preventing the insulin spike and the subsequent crash that leaves you feeling lazy 2 hours later. My message to you today is one of liberation and hope. The guilt you feel about not being productive enough, the shame you feel when you need a nap, the frustration with your own lack of drive. I want you to let that go. You are living in a biological machine. If the machine is sputtering, you don't yell at it. You don't insult it. You check the fluids. You check the spark plugs. You check the fuel. I have seen countless patients in my practice who were convinced they were depressed or just getting old and lazy. Within 3 weeks of correcting their ferritin levels, optimizing their B12 absorption, and stabilizing their blood sugar, they were different people. They woke up before the alarm. They started new hobbies. They cleaned their garages. They felt joy again. The laziness evaporated because the energy returned. Motivation is physical. It is waiting for you. It is trapped behind a wall of deficiency. Your job now is to supply the bricks to build the bridge over that wall. I want you to look at your symptoms with curiosity, not judgment. Go get your labs done. Try the savory breakfast for 1 week. See what happens when you treat your body like the high-performance engine it is meant to be. If this video resonated with you, if you felt seen and understood, please leave a like and share this with someone who is being hard on themselves. Let's spread the science of compassion and health. I am Dr. Caroline Bennett. My mission is to give you the science to live longer, stronger, and more vibrantly. Reclaim your energy, and I will see you in the next video.